Alright, don't get discouraged by this weird crop that's going on right here. I guess I recorded my sprints on a different angle than I usually do, and I'll address that in the future. Hopefully that won't happen again, and it should be back to normal right now. So this gym is so loud in these videos when I record on my phone, and then I try to do a narration over top of it. So I'm going to try and make sure that I'm not screaming, but also you can still hear me over this really loud gym at the same time. That's going to take some trial and error, and then hopefully it won't take too many tries in order to get it right. But anyway, hit some sprints before these power snatches. I'm not historically very good at power snatches. My best ever is either 200 or 205. There's sometimes chalk in this gym, sometimes not, and the bar flew out of my hand on that second rep there. And I'm not using straps. I lost my really good straps, my old California straps that were like $10 that I bought like 8 years ago. Kind of sad about it, probably just going to buy the same exact pair again. But anyway, these power snatches actually didn't go too bad. I worked up to 185. I think I did like a 14-minute set, density set, or just kind of like a 14-minute block of what I planned to be power snatch plus overhead squat plus hang power snatch. But with all the slippery bar nonsense, I just ended up, I guess it'd be funny to say chalk it, hilarious. I chalked it and just did single power snatch. So worked up to 185, not too bad. And then following day, hit some front squats, 330 for a double, and then 275 for a set of 4. So I paused doubled 330 when I was in like some of the best squat shape that I've been in a long time, about 7 months ago. So I think I could probably pause single that right now, do 330 for 1 paused, but I'll take the double as I can get it. And then some 225 reverse lunge. I believe I hit a set of 7 and then a set of 6 afterwards, trying to kind of follow a double progression here. And it's rare that I'll ever do more than 2 sets of something like this. I just especially tried to fill in some volume as I kind of miss it when I do like top end stuff, like top sets of squat or top sets of deadlift. I apply that to bench and chins too, honestly, but just in this example, I hit 1 top set double on squat and then a back down set of 4. So I threw 2 sets of this reverse lunge in there afterwards, and then did some myo rep leg extensions that I don't usually record just because I feel like that's kind of a boring watch. Although those do get pretty brutal and animated sometimes, so maybe I'll start throwing that stuff in. Been throwing some overhead press in recently, and it's hard, man. I'm so weak at these. Trying to get these better, trying to get that general pressing strength up. Hopefully that'll apply to the bench, and maybe it'll help me out in snatch and clean and jerk a little bit. But yeah, I want to keep pushing these as much as possible. 135 for 7 or 8, I don't remember. I know I hit that at some point in August, so hopefully that's something I'll be able to do for 10, 12, maybe even closer to 15 as time goes on. That'll definitely help with general pressing strength and overhead strength. Then hit some conventional deadlifts on the following day. I think on this particular day, right here, I only trained for like 25 minutes. It gets kind of confusing when I watch these videos back. I wear green shirts a lot, so it's kind of hard to tell like which day I was doing what. But anyway, 407 conventional deadlift for a set of 5, and then I hit a set of 4 afterwards. I was planning on doing, I think, a giant set of 10, but I landed at 9 reps, and it was like close enough to 10 that I didn't really find it necessary to do another set, and my back was kind of feeling it quite a bit, so I just kind of called it there and did, I believe, myo rep leg curl after. Typically I would throw in some, at least 1 set of something single leg after I don't really do a ton of volume. That front squat example, I only hit 6 reps, which is super low volume. This is 9, which again is really low volume overall. 9 heavy reps, but my back was pretty shot, so I kind of just called it there. I try to take a little more caution with the deadlift, and even though I'd love to apply those same principles to squat and deadlift across the board, I really just try to listen to my body as much as possible. And try not to live and die by a program. Just kind of treat it like I am the program, and I don't want to be too stubborn and beat myself into the ground like I've done before. And I'm sure I'll do that again at some point in the future, but at least it's something I'm a little more conscious about now. So I think this is the first bench clip in the video. Probably just some warm-ups here. Pause bench, 110 kilo warm-up. That is usually like close to one of the last warm-ups I take, depending on how heavy I'm going on a given day. But you can even see like the way I'm getting up there. This was several days after that deadlift session. I think it was like at least 3 days after that deadlift session, but I had a bunch of really hard work days in between there, so getting up pretty gingerly. And I'm not really sure why I didn't crop this properly, but I guess that gives me like a couple more seconds to kind of talk about my training at the moment. So I've played around with weekly splits, bi-weekly splits, what sort of resembles like a 20-day split, I guess. And I've kind of just started to put myself on what looks more like a bi-weekly split, but kind of changes up throughout the month. So I guess technically you could say it's a monthly split. That's kind of ridiculous to say, but I'm hitting the same fundamental movements each week. Got a top set of 120 there for just a couple reps. Best ever 120 is 5 or 6, and that was definitely way below that. And then some 50-pound chins for 5 after that. Hit a bunch of descending sets after this. I think I did 5 sets each of bench and chins at descending reps. But anyway, on the monthly split, each week I'm doing some form of sprinting, some form of jumping, some form of Olympic lifting, some form of squat, some form of bench, some form of deadlift, and a weighted chin up. I'll throw some rows in there too. I don't typically record those, but I'll also do a single leg version of a quad movement, I guess, or a squat movement. I guess I could elaborate that further on a video in the future. And a single leg hinge. I'm not like a huge single leg guy. I don't think that anything special there is happening that you can't get done on 2 legs for the most part. But for me, it's a pretty easy way to add on some volume without as much systemic fatigue, which is probably another thing I should talk about in a future video. But I'm glad I was able to at least touch on it a little bit here. So, see me getting into some of these hang cleans here. I haven't done just like a standard high hang clean in a really long time. One of the easiest variations of a clean, I think, and a pretty fun one, to be honest. So, took 225, 250, 265, 275, and then there's this 300 right here. I didn't really think that I was going to be able to build up to 300 on this day, but this is the best lift in this whole video. It's nothing crazy. Little gym dog clip here. It's nothing crazy, but I'm really happy to have hit my first 300 clean in a while. Best clean ever is 341. Best hang clean ever is 308, and it was from that position. And I have hang power clean 300 from that position as well. So, given that I'm kind of coming off a pretty rough back injury and I've kind of been taking things a little slower, I've only really been back training pretty hard for 6, 7, 8 weeks. So I'll definitely take some of these numbers right off the bat. I feel pretty good about that. This particular day, hitting some density set SSB squat. I put on a 12-minute timer, and I believe I got 22 total reps at 310 pounds. So that's a pretty significant increase from the last time I did this, which I think was 3 weeks prior. I did 300 for 20 reps. So definitely happy to get a lot of work done in that amount of time. This didn't feel super difficult, but I remember on this particular day, I had done a 10 or 11 hour shift on my feet prior to that, so I was kind of taking what I could get, but definitely broke a good sweat doing 22 squats in 12 minutes, so that always feels good. Hit some myo rep leg extensions right after that. Since I did so many reps of the squat, I didn't do any single leg stuff on that day, just because I feel like it's kind of overkill. And the myo rep stuff is brutal, but I can get that done super fast. So I think this clip right here is 135 for 8, whereas the previous one on overhead press was 135 for 7. And hopefully I'll get to a point where I'm labeling all of these so that way I don't have to keep kind of like playing this guessing game, and I really should write them down prior, but sometimes I remember them, sometimes I don't. Anyway, the reps went up on this, and that's really all that matters. So the final lift in this video is just some more sumo. So the last time I did sumo deadlift, 3 weeks prior to this, I worked up to 500 for a single, and that was all I was able to work up to on this particular day shown right now. That was 352 for a single. I took, what do we got here, 265, so that's 120 kilos. This is 440 right here, just about. This felt pretty easy, and then I jumped all the way to 500 instead of 484. Just a single, not a double. Didn't want to push it too crazy, but that's the final lift I have in this video. Best sumo rep max for 500 ever was 4 reps, and this is actually 501, but just a single in this video, so hopefully I'll get more in the next one. Thanks so much for watching if you made it this far. See you later.